It's really sad, actually.
Sorry, I hadn't done that yet. No, I think the most fun ones to Mark Zuckerberg would be like really like the real like small complaints, like my Facebook is not loading right
Yeah.
now, and then
Oh
you
yeah, I'm sure he gets those.
Yeah.
like tech office stuff. Sorry,
Yeah.
word. I'm forgetting what every
Oh,
word is today, so that should make for good
oh.
podcasting.
Woo! Every word. Dungeon. You only need 2 words: Dungeons and Dragons.
And I can abbreviate that to D&D. It's easy.
You only need 2 letters.
Dun.
You need 1 letter twice.
Done. Okay,
Dun.
I got some
Has
notes
anyone
here.
got a number for me?
Oh, that's good thinking.
Good question.
Hold on.
81, I think,
That sounds
because you
right.
told me to edit it, and I have the word "edit" next to it. So, right?
Just say
It's
81, and if someone's like, "You guys got the wrong number," we're like, "Isn't that funny?"
We'll be like, ah, fucking nerd.
Hell yeah.
In at number 81, it's the film that literally no one remembers.
I already forgot it, and I saw it last night. I saw the last third last night. It's
Mm.
2000s Dungeons and Dragons. It's for Films and Filth. That's us. Who are the people here?
I
Hello,
am
Matt.
Luke.
Right, just
We did
play
it.
it twice, you'll get it. I'm Matt. I get my own introduction.
And today we're joined by probably the one of us who's done the most role playing.
Hello.
It's merci. Am I saying it
Mercy.
right?
Hello.
Merci. Merci.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mercy.
I've now
That's
had
okay.
on 3
Merci.
occasions, by the way, where I'm talking, I mention you or Luke to my wife, and I'll say mercy, and she's like, "Who is that?" Oh, mercy. Like if I say
Yeah, because you have to
mercy.
say it like Japanese katakana for her.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
But that's
remember,
also kind of more correct too, right? So yeah, it's just kind of funny. I guess some people would only know me as Mato and not Matt. So
Yeah.
well, Matt, do you remember that friend you had who I was hanging out with the first time we went to Japan? And I was talking about the movie Akira, but I didn't know how to pronounce it correctly, so I kept saying Akira. And I was like,
yes.
you know Akira? And he was like, oh, I thought you were talking about Honda Acura. No, here's and then he pulls out all the manga of Akira. He's like, okay,
Yeah, he's got like the original ones from like the 80s, first print or something. But just the little change of pronunciation, he couldn't understand it.
Yeah.
well,
What
now I
the one I
learned.
always think about is when I went to like a drive-through with Rob, and it would literally be I'd be like, he's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "Double cheeseburger," and he turns to the cashier and he's like, "Double cheeseburger on bus." And if you don't live in Japan, that sounds like he's putting on a racist accent.
No, but it's like they
But it's like,
won't
no, if he
understand
doesn't
you.
say it like that, they don't know what he's talking about.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is correct. Probably a
Yeah, that,
five-timer story here, but it's been a while. It's been 2 years since you
Yeah.
told it, so you can have it.
I probably told it back when this was a different podcast.
well, there was that time that Matt, you and I went to that Indian restaurant. And you ordered cheese and on, and I was just trying really hard not to laugh because
yeah,
anyway, we
that's
got
how it
it.
rolls.
We got the cheese naan. It was great.
Dungeons and Dragons 2000. So for folks that are wondering, let's just say we will be talking about the newer one as well. The
Yeah,
Honor
because
Among
I don't
Thieves.
think we can fill an hour on this one.
And my viewing, so just it's been a while since I told you how many viewings. The 2001 took 3 separate viewings. After which I could not for my life tell you what the story was. Then I watched the new one in one sitting, ordered the Blu-ray 30 minutes before it finished, and I was like, hey, at every moment in this, you know what their goal is and what they're doing. How nice is that after watching the 2001? But
Yeah.
before I just take a giant crap on the 2001, just to throw out the thing I loved the first time I seen it was Jeremy Irons screaming gibberish. Yeah, I'll take that all day. Thank you.
Yeah, there was like
Who's that guy?
Jeremy Irons was the baddie. We'll be talking about him later.
Yeah.
No, there was. So I watched the 2000s one back when it came out because my dad was a big D&D kid. Like he was a teenager in the like 70s and 80s. So he was mega into Dungeons and Dragons. He made his own sci-fi RPG and like drew it all on paper and stuff. So when this film came out, he was pretty excited. I just remember we watched it once, and then I think the words Dungeons and Dragons were never mentioned in our house again.
No way.
Just like killed his enthusiasm.
Oh no, that's so sad.
So
No.
I had only seen like one scene of friends of mine on occasion have this they have these parties where they have two TVs set up in different rooms and everybody brings VHS tapes and we play specific scenes for like 5 minutes and just kind of vote on what's the best one. And someone brought a VHS of this movie and just played the part where Jeremy Irons was screaming like a insane person towards the end and dragons were just flying around, PS1 dragons. So I kind of thought this might be fun or good, and I was wrong. This was not fun or good. It was not. At one point, I yelled "fuck you" at my TV.
I don't know if this is the film I liked the least or like enjoyed the least, but just on a pure technical filmmaking skill level, this is the worst film we've covered, I think.
I agree. This beats The Fog for me. This is worse than The Fog.
I mean, I was thinking, I was like, man, I wish I was watching In the Name of the King instead, which is rarely spoken by people, but I meant them sincerely and authentically.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think I preferred watching this to the experience of watching Bucky Larson, because watching a comedy that has no funny moments is very painful. And I preferred watching this to watching like Once Upon a Time in America, just because that went on for a million years and was depressing. But otherwise, like, this was just me and Mercy was telling each other all the way through. Like, she's like, "This didn't come out in cinemas, right? This is straight to this is children's TV, right?" And I'm like, "No."
That thought went through my head.
And I literally opened it up and I was like, "Holy fuck! $45 million budget."
This is I went deep on this because the story of the making of this is much more interesting than the story within the movie.
Do tell.
This guy named Courtney Solomon. When he was about 19, he started taking business meetings about trying to get the rights to Dungeons and Dragons. There's some amount of pretending that he was something that he wasn't. I don't know how much I can allege on this, but it seems like fraud adjacent. So then basically the woman who was appointed by Gary Gygax to control TSR, which was the company that ran Dungeons and Dragons before Wizard of the Coast bought that company, just basically fought him on everything, including that Francis Ford Coppola and James Cameron allegedly wanted to direct this, and she said no to them. And then at some point, the board in charge of Dungeons and Dragons made him direct this, and also made him use a script that had been rejected years prior. I didn't find details on that or where the script came from, but definitely I've seen a bunch of interviews with him where he says things like, "Oh, well, everybody said you should direct, so I said, sure, I'll direct it," and that's like not what happened. Joel Silver, who just produced The Matrix, also put up a ton of money for this. That's basically how they got the big budget, because it was something like
oh yeah, my last note here, Mark, by the way, is just my very last note is, does anybody want to talk about Joel Silver after I saw his name plastered on the screen? There, producer Joel Silver. Anyone want to talk about that? Okay, so
yeah.
we do.
I don't know anything about producers. You guys are the producer guys.
You guys are talking just random.
Have you seen have you seen Tropic Thunder?
Yeah.
Just imagine Tom Cruise's character.
Okay, cool.
Oh.
It's basically guys raising money, and this is sort of the perfect example of I always love bringing up how studio interference, corporate interference ruins everything. This is just corporate fuckery making a movie. Like, it's just basically
that makes a lot of sense what you said about how like they made him just pull out some old rejected script, because I literally said to Mercy, every single line in this film is the first draft version of a line.
Yeah,
like,
the part where
there's no subtlety, there's no human character. It's just like, this is my opinion. This is the moral of this story. Here is this law. Like one of the first lines the sidekick character says is, "Things are the way they are, and you can't change them."
So yeah, basically he had to raise this much money because they wouldn't agree to doing a made for TV film, but the two sequels were, I guess, out of necessity made for TV. And then Hasbro bought Wizards of the Coast many years later, and when they were gearing up to make what became Honor Among Thieves, that process started years ago. That was kind of in development hell itself for a while. But Solomon's production company sued them because he was like, we have the rights to this, but everybody knows that to keep the rights to a property, you have to make theatrical films every so often. And they were like, well, you didn't make a theatrical film 5 years after. And in fact, he hadn't made any theatrical films after 2000. So naturally, they lost that fight, and probably better off. Yeah. So I don't know. That's kind of the abridged version.
I guess we should establish our bona fides on the gaming before we get too deep into this particular dungeon and dragon.
Well,
I've never played like a proper tabletop RPG. I went straight to the computer. I played text adventures. I played Zork, Planetfall, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy text adventure. I did those as at least you guys on the call know. I had a weird obsession through 90s JRPGs, so I played like half of those. Regular guest Andrew and I do remember in the late 80s when we were kids, we ordered the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles role-playing book, which came. We were going to play it. We weren't going to do Dungeons and Dragons. That wasn't our thing. I mean, not that we were like, it's too geeky. We were like 11 years old at the time. Just like, we really like the Turtles and we want more content. And before we were recording, Mark was talking about how when the cartoon premiered, people that already knew it were like, ah, no. So the role-playing game was in the style of the comic book, and we got it. And we're instantly, completely, and utterly confused by it, and never played it. So that's my analog.
Like
RPG
I said, my
experience.
dad was a tabletop RPG guy, so I played with him a bit as a kid, and then more recently, me and Matt's mutual friend Alan loves DMing RPGs, so I played with him like 3 or 4 times. The problem was me and Matty just wanted to do classic D&Ds, let us go on an adventure, kill some goblins, fight a dragon, and he wants to do all these obscure RPGs that he's really into, or we're playing like Children of Gods or whatever. And it's like, okay, fine. So I would always just make these characters who were like prostitute vampires or something, just so that I could make Matty really uncomfortable by flirting with him through the whole RPG. But yeah, we did a few one-shots and stuff that were fun. But most of my experience is just like reading monster manuals and just like reading lore books and stuff, because I love monsters and lore and stuff like that. And so a friend of the show's, Gary and Cole, they were on a game show a little while back. They used to do a podcast called Monster in My Podcast, where they would just like review a D&D monster every week, which was really fun.
That's fun.
And now they're doing Real Lich Hours, which is their Baldur's Gate 3 podcast. So they're big D&D guys. So I've sort of absorbed a lot of D&D through osmosis, even though I haven't had much chance to play it myself. But yeah, D&D fans should check out them, or check out the Game Show episode they were on, because I did do a D&D round.
That's right.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in like comic book stores. I was definitely on that realm of geek, and half of those stores are the figures and stuff for RPGs, but I didn't know what I was looking at, basically. So I was all comic book, no role playing.
Yeah, I spent a lot more time playing like Warhammer or board games, because I guess more of my friends were into playing that, whereas the RPG, it takes a certain kind of person, because most of the game is just happening in your head, right? But when I played in like the recent years, it was like me, like Rob's like a real theater kid, so we would like play little characters. One of them I played like an Irish priest, so that's kind of fun.
I just bungled myself by conflating the two. That would certainly offend somebody.
Well, this is also a better story than the story of this movie. When I was about 12 years old, I basically had 2 friends, and they didn't really have very many friends either. I think we were basically just the only people that any of us hung out with, nerd stuff. At one point they decided that they were going to play D&D with me. I didn't know anything about it. So basically the guy who was DMing just constantly just tricked me and beat up on me the entire time so that the 2 of them would laugh at me. So I was like, oh, well, okay, fuck you guys. And I decided to never play it again.
I'm
I
so
did.
sorry, man. That's
It's
horrible.
yeah. I mean, well, it was one of those things. The thing is, I did kind of get into BattleTech for a while, which is more my thing, really, robots. But the stuff that Luke was just talking about, the weird one shots, is actually what got me back into RPGs
Hmm.
in adulthood because I had a group of friends who were doing that, and we
Mm.
played one that was like there's one that's like lobsters that drive trucks or something, and there's one where I think there was one that I thought was my favorite one where I think it was everyone is just 9 different personalities inside of a guy, and the guy is just
Mm.
trying to do things like get up out of bed and brush his teeth, but you have to do all these. It's just this insanity. That kind of reflects the indie games that I favor. But also, I mean, as far as video games, I played Super Mario RPG the first time when I had mono. I was like, well, I have all the time in the world now, so I played Super Mario RPG, got into it. Chrono Trigger, which became one of my favorite games.
Hmm.
A couple other Super Nintendo ones. This is like 2001, but yeah. So wildly spotted RPG history, I guess.
Oh,
Okay.
I see on the leg and I yanked the headphones out. Hilarious.
So Mercy, you've got
More
a
than
my
we
God.
long
do.
history, right?
yeah. I was like, what is it?
I
You're
was just going to be
electrocuted?
like, tap, tap, instead of
Oh,
the headphones
gosh.
out.
So me myself, I am a big RPer. I love RPing. I RP to this day. Um, but so Dungeons and Dragons was the very first like tabletop. You say tabletop?
Yeah.
Okay, the very first tabletop game that I played back in college, and I had a really long campaign with a couple of friends. Like one of our players, he had to leave the country because he was gonna move to Australia. And this, oh my God, I still think about it. That session when we had to say goodbye to his character, we were all crying. It
Aw.
was so intense. And then eventually, like, we stopped playing, and then we finished a couple years later because we were like, everybody left,
Mm.
things like that. And our DM was the most amazing guy,
Mm.
an amazing storyteller. And then I got into DMing myself, but I don't DM Dungeons and Dragons because it's too complicated for me. So that's the thing with Dungeons and Dragons. Like, you have to know the rules, and like just making a character takes an entire day. So, well, I mean, also for the other RPGs, I guess. But
Mm.
like, I'm more into World of Darkness.
Right.
So games like Changeling, like Vampire the Masquerade, like Geist, like Mage, The Awakening, like those kind of games I'm really into. And I was DMing a table. I don't know how long it lasted. It lasted a couple, maybe a year or like less than a year. But it was like every single week I would meet my friends, and I would DM. But here's the thing. I don't care about the rules. I I don't care if it's like, oh no, you have to use this die, whatever. No, like, show it to me. You want to convince myself, like, I don't know, you want to convince me that you want to get this item, okay, then role play it, go ahead.
Mm.
And then I'll allow it or I won't allow it. And I gave a lot of like permissions to my players because I want them to have fun. So I know that all of my players, and I don't know if they're ever gonna hear this, but all of my players were horny.
Mm.
All of them. So all of them wanted like a hot character there, and I was like, I'll give you that, but then you're gonna have to like really do your best if you want to seduce this dude or this girl. So it was a lot of fun. And then I had this one table online because I moved to Japan, and I wanted to make it like a supernatural creatures in Mexico,
Mm.
but also in the border. So it was like
Was anyone a chupacabra?
no.
Oh.
No, I wish. It was
No
more
such
like
thing.
vampires,
Oh,
like vampire
horny
narcos.
chupacabra.
But I mean the table, it was difficult because of the time difference, and then we couldn't continue, but I miss it. I
Mm.
miss table like DMing so much. It was so much fun.
Mm.
Yeah. But and also I LARPed. I was a big LARPer. I would LARP for maybe 2 years every single weekend.
2 years every weekend?
Yeah.
Like in Narnia?
Huh? Wow.
Every weekend for 2 years.
What did I say?
He said
I got it.
2 years every weekend. Like...
Oh, no, sorry.
I'm being a dick.
Sorry. Yes, you are.
Well, God, I wish I could go LARP in a closet for 2 years every weekend. That'd be amazing.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Sounds better when you say in Narnia.
Before I forget,
Actually, it sounds
Mercy,
better when you say what you said, but I don't think.
before I forget, Mercy, have you played Morkborg?
No,
Are you familiar with it?
no. Sounds like fun.
It's just extremely evil looking, where everything looks like an intensely black, evil, screaming demon, and you're supposed to burn the book after you're done or kill all your characters. I do want to play this. I've never DM'd before, and I'm like circling it. I know if I try to rope people in, I'm gonna have to learn.
I would love to play that game.
I do want to
Check
play
it
Call
out.
of Cthulhu one day as well.
Call of Cthulhu is really fun. It really messes up with your head, but it's fun. There was this also. I guess you guys would be interested in like Dungeon and World of Darkness, especially because it's like modern supernatural stuff, but especially Geist. Geist is about like. Have you guys know the anime Shaman King? Do you guys know? Have you
I know
guys seen it?
I haven't seen it.
No. Okay. It's about like people.
Shaman King.
Shaman King.
Oh, I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Okay, so it's about like people who have like spirits. It's like JoJo in a way, but in the game, guys, you died and you come back to life because you made a pact with a ghost.
Oh, I think one of our characters was a Geist in one of the ones we did with Alan. I remember when our friend Alan, who did the DMing that I played recently, since he left our company, he's been doing like D&D streams with some group. And Matt was just telling me like, oh yeah, I tried to watch a bit of it and it was just this one woman talking and Alan didn't even talk. And I was like, Matt, it sounds like probably she was the DM and you just watched a bit where she was explaining something. And he's like, oh, right, yeah, I don't know how this works.
He was like, watch it. So I did. And then I didn't know what was happening at all.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, you got a tale for this movie version, which we'll continue to probably avoid and talk about the actual games and the newer one. But let's do it. Let's put.
I think we've all got a type 5 on the movie we want to get through as well.
The cursed description. In the Empire of Izmir, the evil mage Profion would like to depose the Empress Savina and lock her in a dungeon, and dragons could help him do it. If only he could receive the rod of Sevril, which makes dragons bend to the user's whim. Profion then sends his right-hand man, Damodar, in desperate pursuit of the rod. Marina, a young mage, is given a map to find the rod by her mentor, Vilden. As he's murdered by Damodar, she then escapes and enlists a pair of thieves named Ridley and Snails, as well as a dwarf named Elwood, to find and take the rod. Marina's party then finds out that they have to get a ruby called the Eye of the Dragon. They escape Damodar and find a maze where Ridley is able to complete a challenge to get the ruby. Damodar shows up again and captures Marina and the map. With the help of an elf named Norda, the other three penetrate Damodar's camp. Ridley rescues Marina but is unable to save Snails when Damodar grabs him firmly from behind, penetrating him until he expires while both of them breathe heavily. After some passionate screaming, Ridley is also impaled by Damodar, but Marina is able to save his life with magic. Snails is still dead. Meanwhile, Profion appears before the Senate and Liberty dies with thunderous applause. In a dungeon, our heroes have arrived to receive the rod, but only Ridley is able to proceed because magic or something. He comes across a thick skeleton made of stiff bones. He tells Ridley that he's been waiting for ages for someone to come receive his cursed rod. Ridley barely has time to caress the rod before Damodar arrives and takes the rod from him violently. He opens a throbbing portal to bring the rod to his master, Profion, and Ridley pursues him. The Empress is attempting to use her own rod to control dragons, but when Profion has the huge intimidating rod of Sevril, he overpowers her. However, Ridley is able to turn the tables on Damodar and dominate him. Then Ridley's friends show up and help him wrestle the rod away from Profion. Ridley smashes the rod because it's evil rather than becoming cursed while using it to destroy Profion's anus. The Empress has a dragon swallow Profion instead. Then the Empress declares everyone equal and prejudice officially over forever. Hooray. Also, the Eye of the Dragon erases Snail's name from his headstone and then opens a portal that everyone can enter to go see their friend in the cliffhanger dimension or something. The end.
Right. people were waiting with
That's it?
bated
We did
breath
cover
to see
pretty
what
much
happened.
everything, and the film still doesn't make fucking sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. At one point when you were describing the maze, I was like, "Oh yeah, that part was good." Oh wait, no, that was the newer movie again.
yeah, the new
that
movie
was
actually.
when we got to the maze bit in this movie, I was like, okay, I'm at least somewhat enjoying this now because things are happening on screen.
Yeah.
The new, in retrospect, this movie makes the new movie feel like it was taking a shit all over it, which is funny. Because they say Honor Among Thieves more times in this movie than in the movie called Honor
I
Among
know. Yeah, you're right. What about Honor Among Thieves?
Yeah.
So, okay. I had to go through some of my biggest beefs with this film.
Okay, go ahead.
The whole plot is like, oh, there's this prejudice between mages and commoners. I guess they're using commoner like muggle, but like that word already means something. But they literally never show anything. Like, oh, they're like, oh yeah, there's oppression. We don't see any. Everyone seems to be going about fine.
Well, they get rid of it at the end of the movie, so
and then,
it's okay.
But like, if you're making a film about, you know, this underclass fighting to be free, you have to show us what the oppression looks like. It looked like everyone was clean and happy and living in a city.
Yeah.
Like,
the oppression is that thieves go, "I don't trust you, mage."
yeah. If anything, the only prejudice I saw was against mages.
Could you imagine playing a fucking game of D&D where you're just like trying to role play, and then somebody's like, "Oh, like I'm gonna follow you, mage." Like everybody's just screaming at each other because they're
I'm sure that happened.
I mean, sure, but
that would be funny. Everybody else in the party would be like, whoa, chill.
It reminds me of one of the one shots where we were role playing something where it was like the captain of the ship was dead and we were in a spaceship, and I kept being like, we should throw the captain's corpse out of the ship, and everybody started like freaking out because like, wait, why do you want to throw the captain's corpse out of the ship? I'm like, we got to get rid of his corpse. I didn't have any reason. Sometimes
it's going to start to smell.
You hit
snags
like
smelly.
that.
You don't want to be in a tin can with a corpse.
I was trying to be evil.
Exactly.
Look,
Just
I was trying to be evil because it's fun. Sometimes it's fun when you have an evil guy that's in. Like I was trying to make the story better, but nobody was.
That's the one saving grace of this movie. The evil guy's fantastic. Yeah, I want to talk about Jeremy Irons. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I swear.
Tell anything you want to say.
Yeah, we were just quoting Jeremy Irons yesterday before we even realized he was in this film. Have you seen his interview when gay marriage was about to be introduced?
Oh no, where is this going?
He's like, well, could a father not marry his son? And then the guy's like, oh, well, there are laws against incest. But it's not incest between men.
Okay, so we'll try not to include his personal life too much in this.
Yeah,
I want to talk about Simon Gruber.
He's like a huge homophobe or anything. I think he's just a confused old man who said something really dumb in an interview.
Yeah, but he's gonna haunt him forever.
Yeah, no, I can't hear his voice without hearing that quote. It's so funny.
Oh my god!
Interestingly, he did a quote where he had a quote where he's just like, someone asked him why he did this movie, and he said, "Are you kidding? I just bought a castle and I have to pay for it." And
that makes sense.
Basically, the next movie we do is going to involve someone who shouldn't have bought castle.
I see. Oh yeah, you're correct.
Why?
Also, another connection is that Marlon Wayans was filming this at the same time as Good List movie Requiem for a Dream.
So, right, that's awesome, because I was like trying to track, like, we just saw him recently in that, and I'm like, oh yeah, how does this track at the same time? That's fantastic.
I would assume that his character is probably killed off because he was like, look, man, I've got this groundbreaking,
much
really
better
important
film
movie to do.
And Luke's saying that.
I wasn't
that's probably
even
how he
ask.
perceived it. I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Well, I still think that film was boring and shit.
I do. Go ahead.
I'll take the new Dungeons and Dragons movie over Requiem for a Dream for sure. Anyway, go ahead, Mercy.
Oh no, it's like you read a very compelling summary of the plot. You know, a very horny one.
I was role playing.
Oh, thank you. That was really good. You convinced me. But yesterday I was telling Luke, this movie's very gay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it has a lot
There's
of
a
that.
lot of like one character's right in front of the camera and the other character's behind them. Going,
And they're making like weird faces, and it's always like, I mean, it's always nice to see representation, I guess. But
Oh.
and also I wanted to say, what's the name of the guy with the blue lipstick again? Dracot?
Damodar. something like that.
Dramadar?
Damodar.
Damadar? He served in that movie.
Yeah.
He served.
He's the one actor who comes back for the 2 straight to DVD sequels.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought he was like not a bad villain. I mean,
He's
for
good.
a crap movie.
He's an
thing with this
experienced
movie
actor.
was-
Is good.
So like him, Jeremy Irons, that Thief's Guild guy.
Yeah,
Tom
Riff Raff
Baker
from
showed up
Rocky
for a
Horror.
cameo.
Yes, I was about to say I was very happy to see Richard O'Brien from Rocky Horror as the Thieves Guild guy, simply
Yeah.
because he's not in that many movies.
Right, but like
Yeah.
those actors were the kind of actors who can rise above a shit script.
Hmm.
But the main cast and like Marlon Wayans, I'm sure they could all be good in something good,
Yeah.
but they were like trying to chew their way through George Lucas dialogue and it was terrible.
What's the
Um,
name of the snail?
Snails, Marlon Wayans.
Marlon Wayans.
Hmm.
He's really good in White Chicks. I
Yeah,
love
he's
that
good in other
movie.
stuff. He's a
Yeah.
funny guy, but
He's good at
Yeah.
actor.
he can't take a script like this and make it good.
No, and he's not even
t-
funny. Like I'm like, man, I didn't
Yeah.
even laugh
It reminded me of the sort of the Richard Pryor Superman 3 thing.
at the what?
Superman 3, they brought in comedian Richard Pryor.
Hmm.
But the story I've heard is that the Superman writers were like, we can't tell Richard Pryor how to be funny. We'll let him do his own thing. And Richard Pryor was like, I'm making a Superman movie. I can't go off script. So he's just not funny through the whole film.
the poster for that movie is insane because it's this immaculately crafted drawing of Superman carrying Richard Pryor and flying. Another thing along the lines of the Tom Baker was offered Gandalf in Lord of the Rings, and he turned it down for this because it's a shorter flight for him to Canada than to New Zealand. And
He turned down Gandalf
has-
for this.
he has
I mean,
publicly
I'm glad
stated he
Ian
does
McKellen
not
was an
regret.
incredible guy.
Oh yeah, that's true. But still.
Yeah,
I love
can't
Tom Baker, and I
imagine.
loved him in this.
Hmm.
Because Tom
Well, I
Baker,
can't-
he's made a whole career of taking shit scripts and making it sound amazing. So
Yeah. So
Also, how much money were they offering him for either job? You know, we don't know.
probably possibly more for this because
That's what
Lord
I'm
of the
saying.
Rings-
Like if it's like we'll give you this for this and that for Lord of the Rings, which was not a proven, property in
Well,
2000. Nobody knew how that was gonna
I
turn
was
out.
surprised to learn the timeline that this wasn't made in the wake of Lord of the Rings.
Wait.
No,
Is that
this is
how I
I guess
assumed this happened.
I guess this is the last of the old
No.
school fantasy movie because we did Legend a little while back, right? Would you put this more in with Lord of the Rings or with Legend? I mean,
This kind of is like pre-Lord of the Rings fantasy. You're right.
this was at the time the most expensive independent movie ever made. So you look at it that way.
they probably
like
should got
some-
in the studio to back them.
there mistakes were made. Anyway, taglines for this movie
Lord of the Rings
include-
did have a considerably higher budget.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. But if Tom Baker had made that, then he would have had to make the Hobbit movies, right? So
Yeah.
Anyway, the taglines for this movie are: "This is no game. Adventure hinges on more than just a throw of the dice. Adventure will never be the same. The game has just begun." And "It's no game!" exclamation point.
That's literally the same marketing they used on the Super Mario Brothers
Mario
movie.
Brothers movie.
Mm.
Yeah.
And they're
This
contradicting
ain't no
each
game,
other.
it's a
They're-
live action thrill
It's
ride.
the
They're
same problem,
contradicting themselves
right?
in their taglines.
Yeah.
There's contradicting
I mean-
taglines. It's no game. The game is just beginning. Wait, you just said it's no game. What are you doing?
Yeah.
It was not as big a problem. I mean, the Super Mario Brothers movie was like, look, we just have to be as little like the game as possible, and that was a problem for them. I
Hmm.
mean, I still think it's interesting. This
I still really
didn't do
like
that.
that movie in a weird way.
Yeah,
The
I want
live
a
action
Mario
one?
game
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah,
that.
same.
I want a Mario game like that. That's like a.
Yeah,
I
that
hope
would
the
be
Switch
sick.
2 launches with that. It's just like the life like
Super Mario Bros. The movie, the game, 35
Yeah.
years late.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I-
dude. It'll
I
work.
do enjoy the newer one, The Honor Among Thieves,
Mm.
but there is a part of me that just thinks like, I don't actually think Dungeons and Dragons is a good property to adapt. Because all Dungeons and Dragons is just generic fantasy. The point of it is it's a rule set to create your own stories.
Exactly. There's so many ways you can.
So like
Yeah.
making a Dungeons and Dragons film is basically just the same as making your own original fantasy film.
Mhm.
That's how I watched that movie for sure. Of course, I have no background in Dungeons and Dragons, so of course that's how I watch it. I was thinking
Yeah.
more of Lord of the Rings or something. For me, it's 9 at night. I just finished the 2001. I'm like, oh my god, and then it's this 2:15. Oh my god, I
Mhm.
was definitely not coming in a good frame of mind, and it very quickly, charmed me out of that. So
Was it as soon as you saw Captain Kirk's face?
yes, that's right.
The thing
I want to get
about
into a closet with Chris Pine.
well, yeah, why not? The thing about
I want to get
the
stuck
thing
in a
about
Jeffries tube with him.
yeah. The thing about Honor Among Thieves is when I was watching it, I was thinking to myself towards the end of it, it does kind of go on for a while, even though I think it maintains a really good pace. I was actively thinking to myself, man, how are they going to make a sequel if they're putting so much stuff into this first movie? And I don't know if I think that's my brain is poisoned by too many sequels and I should not be thinking about sequels. But
Yeah.
it's the thing is I get all these things because they're in so many other RPG like video games, like Mimics and I don't know, Bird People. All this stuff is they're Bird People in Zelda games. There's a lot of just fantasy language. I don't know if I prefer that to the Lord of the Rings movies. Matt, would you take that over Lord of the Rings?
Matt hasn't properly watched the Lord of the Rings movies yet, so his opinions are not valid.
Okay.
I can't argue with that.
Matt watched the first one, turned to his dad and said, "This is just dudes staring at each other," and never went back.
Yeah, I think the simplest, like
Ironically, I
maybe
do have the extended editions on Blu-ray right there, but
Yeah.
I've only seen one of the two towers, so that's where I am.
well, the second tower will fall eventually.
Mm.
Anyway, anyway, yeah,
I remember
I
the
think
rumors when that film came out were they were going to change the name
Oh yeah.
it would have
because
made a
it was
lot of
like right
sense.
after.
Yeah,
That's the name of the
I was
book,
thinking
no?
of that.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah,
name of the
so
book.
ni mo, siya na.
If you
And
change the
as
name of that film, the terrorists win.
That's what he changes the name of the film to. The Terrorist Won.
They renamed
trying to think.
Aragorn Osama bin Laden.
Hey, before we go completely off of the actors, we were talking how there's the steady hands that are watchable, even though the script is terrible and the production is terrible, and the youngies who can't handle it. Where do you put Thora Birch? She's a pretty good actor who at this point has no gravitas because she's
Which one was she?
She was the
The
Empress.
Empress. What
Oh yeah,
was
because
the
she won
deal?
some awards for this.
Oh.
I don't
No,
know.
she's
She
a
was
serious
good.
actor, so I was like, but
Mercy
she was
loved
like,
her like costumes.
Oh, she looked so good.
but she's like 20 when they made this, so she's younger than the young cast, right? And I was like,
She looked 15
she
in
had
the movie. She
completed
looked so young.
she'd completed American Beauty, which is like way up on the good list before she did this. I don't understand her performance unless she is straight up fucking with the director because she doesn't like him.
I think they were trying really hard to make her Queen Amidala.
Yeah. Okay.
But also, like, look at the fucking lines she was trying to get through. I think she did a pretty admirable job.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's where I was going.
Every
I'm
single
like,
line in this film was like one clause too long. Like they don't know how to write sentences that humans speak.
They don't.
The time that I screamed "fuck you" at my TV was when the dwarf is told that he's not going to get paid right away, and then it slowly zooms in on his face for like 10 seconds.
Yeah, it zooms in on his
says,
face, then he does a line, then it zooms in a bit
says-
more, and he does a grunt, and then it zooms in a bit more, and he does an expression.
He says, "quote That's a terrible way to do business."
Oh yeah, I remember.
Which
He
is
says,
not
"That's a terrible
something
way
that
to do
humans
business."
say.
And then a little bit later, he goes,
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, like a
Unbelievable.
funnier line would have just been just do the facial expression and cut, but no. Also, right, so that was the other beef I wanted to get to. They don't really explain how that dwarf ended up in their party. He doesn't do anything in the whole film, and he's like the same height as the woman. He's barely a dwarf.
He's your friend that's off eating
just a
Cheetos in the
Scottish
corner
man.
and not really engaging with the game.
He's like the John Rhys Davies you have at home.
Yeah.
I did think that the what was the lady who was played Marina? She
Marina?
was really going
Mercy
for it.
was
To her
very
credit.
pissed off with that character.
I didn't like.
Oh, really?
Because she's
Yeah.
like a powerful mage, and there's an hour in the middle of the film where she forgets she can do magic and just screams and gets captured over and over again.
Oh,
and then
that is
suddenly at the
a
end, she
problem.
remembers she can do magic in the
Yeah.
finale. Like,
And also another thing that I don't like is that, well, yeah, that like the trope of like powerful women who suddenly forget they're powerful when they are captured, and the male sidekick, whatever, has to save them. That's one thing. Another thing is like you start the movie with her wearing glasses. She looks like her hair is up, and she's like the librarian. And then immediately after, no more glasses. She doesn't need them. Her hair long and luscious. And it's like, wow, look at her. She's attractive now. And I'm like, man, okay, cool. Then what's up?
yeah.
Then what's the situation?
She should have been the lead of this. She should have been the hero. It made no sense that the one guy who's the thief suddenly is so powerful that he just kills everyone and goes through the maze and everything. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
He's a
also,
skilled
like,
thief.
That was a failure to adapt D&D, right? Because D&D is about a party.
Yes.
And there's multiple bits where it's like, he has to do this bit alone.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were playing this game. It's like the GM has a crush on this one guy.
That's what I was thinking too. Like, the part when he goes by his own. Yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm going to go in the other room with Steve to do this bit with his character.
Literally. Imagine that. My players would hate me. They would stand up and go.
I do want to bring this up briefly because on another podcast, I think it was Hyrule Field Report, you guys were suggesting who you'd want cast in the Zelda movie. I would recommend Sophia Lillis, who is in the Honor Among Thieves, who was like the deer lady or whatever.
Oh yeah.
She was really cool.
I think she's I think I want her to be Zelda. I don't know.
Yeah,
if
she'd be a good Zelda. Yeah.
Oh,
she's also an asteroid city. Sure, she could be Link too.
Elf ladies. God, you can say it.
What, like the keys? Oh my god! So the elf lady, she had the nicest, like, how do you say, like it's not a corset. It's like
the chest
armor,
piece, the armor.
The armor. Like there was one scene that like she was just standing there.
She was standing like a 3/4 angle.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my god, it's so beautiful. Like I love it. And then at the end, she's wearing the same thing in blue. I wanted it every color.
She basically had the Venus de Milo as a chest piece.
Yeah.
She just had this like ornate pair of tits carved on her armor.
I mean, it looks so like editorial.
Yeah.
So in a way, I liked her, and I like at the end of the movie, remember that I was like, okay, censor the other ones, and I just did this, and I just framed the Empress and the elf, and I was like, this is fashion. This is editorial. This is serving something. This has a purpose. Okay, this is cunt. Okay, this is CUTN. Like that's what it is. That's what it is. The rest of them are like, they're okay. But these two, they're doing it. Yeah.
Costumes are not bad here.
Sets are good. The practical sets are good.
Costumes are not bad, but they are definitely pre-Lord of the Rings fantasy, where everything looks too new and shiny and off the shelf, and doesn't look like people live in this world.
Can I mention something? The two of us mentioned it. Remember when they were like robbing the school or whatever, like the School of Magic, and they were like noisy as hell?
Yeah.
Remember when Snail just grabs a dragon's tooth?
Yeah, he grabs a dragon's tooth, which is like the size of his torso, and he just waves it around like it weighs nothing. Because it's clearly just like a paper mache prop.
Why did you take this? And I'm it's just so disconnected from it doesn't feel like a party, it doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like a
children's TV production.
Yeah. It's so amateur.
It feels like these are the little scripted bits before we get to that maze, and it's a fucking game show on Nickelodeon.
Yeah. The one that Legends of the Hidden Temple. Yeah. It feels like the Legends of the Hidden Temple. That's
especially like the camera showed us the maze from above, and it looked so much like a set. I guess because they were meant to sit and watch it or whatever.
I wish I'd watched this before the good one, but that's not how it happened.
I mean, technically I did, but I watched it like 24 years before the good one.
Yeah.
The one thing this has over the good one, at least Beholder showed up.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's Kako Demon. Oh yeah, it's Beholder. Right, of course. And again, influence.
So I think I made my review.
Beholder, Tom Baker's in this. Beholders are based on Daleks.
Oh shit. Okay, that makes sense.
I think I made my review 37 minutes in. It said it's late night and I'm tapping out 37 minutes in. I'm back. What do I remember? 1, a fabulous but incoherently bellowing Jeremy Irons. 2, bad CGI dragons but good sets. 3, shoehorning in character classes. I could tell they're trying to put the classes in, but yeah, like she forgets magic. It doesn't make any sense. 4, should Marlon Wayans really be here? And my next note is that I'm eating pizza scones. After
Oh,
that,
yummy.
yeah, they were pretty good.
There was at the end, the dragon like gets Jeremy Irons.
Oh yeah, that
And
was
we were
cool.
like,
yeah.
It's like the scene from Shrek, but the dragon in Shrek looks more real.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's gonna
Mhm.
Shrek him. That's a Shrek. He's gonna Shrek him. He's gonna be
He didn't Shrek himself, and now he's gonna Shrek himself.
He was gonna Shrek it. Yeah, exactly. But then I asked him. Then I asked Luke, okay, who's gonna fuck the dragon now?
The only other important thing I really noted after that is that the council kind of looked like the Muppet Show theater, but with the chairs ripped out. I
Oh.
like that a lot. And then most of it's just Rod jokes, like Luke's, not Luke, like Mark's summary. It's just every other line's a Rod joke after that. Okay.
It's the universal experience.
You like the Muppet Show reference?
I did put a note in that Jeremy Irons towards the end was a Muppet. Jeremy Irons at the end was just like,
oh yeah, when he's no longer speaking English. That's why someone showed you that scene. That scene was fantastic. That almost made it worth watching this piece of garbage.
Oh my god!
I was like, are you trying out for a grindcore band, dude? Like, he just lost it.
Well, he would have succeeded.
And also, this council is so easily swayed by everything. It's like, hey guys, we should have cookies on Fridays. Yeah, let's have cookies on Fridays.
Huzzah, huzzah!
Exactly. Like there's no opposition to anything you say. They just if you get in the front, like you say, guys, we should do this. They're like, yeah, we should do it. Like
the Council of Mages is just a frat.
Literally.
The thing is, I'm not even sure this filmed before Phantom Menace came out. Like, or sorry, after. I'm not sure this filmed after Phantom Menace came out because Phantom Menace was
like 99.
Yeah,
it was like the end of 99, right? Or was it?
To be fair, I don't think this film had a long post production.
Yeah. Oh sure. I didn't.
What was
find
the
anything...
film we talked about recently that they basically made it in like 9 months? Oh, it was Black Christmas.
Black Christmas, yeah, that was.
It was
like
he started it in like February and it came out that Christmas. Yeah,
it was something
Black
like
Christmas,
Jason Blum was
That's
called out for not hiring.
That's how Santa works too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they pull Santa in June. Like, hey, you gotta do this.
No, he starts in February. Take a month off. Get to work. Try to finish by November if you can. That's always good. You know.
Yeah, I mean, these days it's pretty tough for Santa because he's not just fucking carving wood and rocking horses. He's like manufacturing game consoles.
I know. So
quality control's a nightmare.
You got the elf there, fucking chugging coffee, programming the new Mario. Like,
yeah. Well, with all the wealth disparity, with all the wealth disparity in the world, there's like at least a couple of Teslas they have to make, probably. Which that they couldn't do a worse job than the actual.
I guess there are like 3 billion kids who are just getting like a fucking potato. So
yeah, that too. It all works out.
The potatoes work better in the newer movie. Yes.
Have we got anything else on the bad Dungeons and Dragons film then?
Hey Mark, what you said you looked a little more, and I just saw it the last thing. What the crap? There's 2 sequels to this, and you said you learned a little bit more about that.
Yes. Yes, they went directly to Sci-Fi Channel.
All right.
This one already looks Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah, it does.
And the fight choreography was so Power Rangers.
It was.
Oh, sorry. I just stumbled onto this caption on Wikipedia. Most of the stunts were performed by the main cast, including Justin Wallen.
That's so damn funny.
Yeah. He even does like the while he's sword fighting.
I have something to read before we get to reviews. This is an AMA that director Courtney Solomon did 11 years ago. I'm going to read you the whole thing. I am Courtney Solomon, award-winning director. That's false. He did not win an award. He was nominated.
Won a bunch of Razzies and shit.
Me when I
he did not, because it was the same year as Battlefield Earth, and Battlefield Earth took all of it. He was nominated for a Stinker Award for worst sense of direction.
What a little stinker.
He was the
What now?
award-winning director, which is false, of the new action thriller motion picture Getaway, opening today, starring Ethan Hawke and Selena Gomez, rated PG-13. AMA. I believe that movie is rated in the fives. It's like 5.8 or something.
Yeah, he's trending upwards.
Oh, by the way, these
this was
Dungeons
11
Dragons
years ago.
sequels are 4.6 and 4.4 masterpieces compared to this one.
Yeah.
I bet they
would
probably only didn't make the bad
They
list
just
because no
didn't.
one watched them.
Yeah, no one watched them. And also, you know, this movie made it onto How Did This Get Made, which just made a lot of people brigade in the reviews or whatever. Was Selena Gomez as much of a pain in the ass as she looks? I say this from seeing offset footage of her being a snob pretty much. And Courtney answers, nah, give her a Snickers and she's content for 15 minutes. We needed a lot of Snickerses though. However, it was worth it as she is phenomenal in the action thriller motion picture Getaway, now in theaters. Another comment says,
promoting on the internet.
Obama covers his face with meth before going to sleep. He looks at himself in the mirror and contemplates his temporarily white face. Then he cleans, hit his wife, and then gets to sleep next to the bike he stolen as a kid, thinking of the rest of his life on welfare. Then the third comment says, when did you realize your movie was so good that it would naturally get fawned over on internet message boards without the assistance of hired marketers? And Courtney answers, 1 hour ago. That's it.
What?
The one question about Selena Gomez, a racist comment, and then a comment about like, is your film good? Yes.
Yep.
Cool.
That's it.
People really
also,
ate him a.
Oh my
his
God.
account is deleted also.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh wait,
That's
this is in
tricky.
our circle jerk. This might not be real. Oh well.
Maybe.
Oh, well, it's real now.
No,
It's
maybe
real to
it's been
us.
Now
reposted
it's
in
real.
our circle jerk.
Thanks for internet, you stupid misinformation machine.
Does anybody want to call this a film?
No.
I'll call this a placeholder for the rights for 20 years. That's all it is.
That's a filthy thing to do. See,
Yeah.
Warren
Yeah.
Beatty and Dick Tracy again.
This really feels like this guy should be in prison for making this.
Like, where did that fucking money go? Because it didn't go on screen. So someone should probably be in prison.
I think
this is not a film.
making all those dragons in 2000, that probably is. Because think about the other shitty movies we've seen with CGI from that era. Just don't have that many things in them.
Luke, put a pin in this. Director should go to prison when we get to Rollerball, by the way.
Okay. But like Dragonheart came out before this. The dragons looked better.
But how many dragons
Park,
were there?
of
Like
them came out.
100?
Ray
it's the
Harryhausen
same- it's just the same
movies, the
model
dragons
20
look better.
times. Like, it's not like the dragons all looked unique.
I am not defending this movie in any way. I'm just saying, if one could argue that there are so many dragons in it that's where the money went, which is not a good use of money.
Less dragons. Have one dragon that looks cool.
I agree. Well, Jurassic Park had what? Like 2 dragons? I mean, 2 dinosaurs in it? 5 dinosaurs?
Yeah, it had like a T-Rex, 3 raptors. Yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah.
Who says D-War's a bad movie now?
I never said that. I love
No,
D-Wars,
we didn't. No, we all loved it. That was the universal you, not specifically you guys.
But like Godzilla -1 was made like 20 years later for a quarter of the budget and looks phenomenal throughout.
Yeah, but
like,
you know, technology.
This guy, no, but like I'm just saying in terms of budget, $45 million is a lot of money, especially in the year 2000. There's no excuse for it to look this shit.
Godzilla -1 was made by professionals working for an established studio.
That's the actual answer, right? Is that this was made? Yeah.
Yeah, the Godzilla rights didn't go to some fucking punk kid who was trying to just invest,
I guess,
a bunch.
I do think this film is dreadful and bad. I do actually respect the gumption of Courtney Solomon.
Oh yeah, he's a guy with a capital G.
His way into a $45 million movie based on his favorite franchise.
The most recent thing.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say the most recent thing. He's produced a lot, and most of it is rated under 6. The most recent thing he has produced is some kind of remake of Red Sonja and a remake of all 3 Strangers movies. The Strangers. Okay, that's all I had to say.
I've heard the name.
But you know, money guy. He turned into a producer naturally.
Oh yeah, because he was already like a professional hustler. So
Yeah, he has that whatever juice to produce garbage. Anyway, Mercy, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna comment about the dragon situation. Like I told Luke also, like I think if the dragons are gonna be this essential to your movie, just invest all the money you can on them, like so they can look nice.
yeah, like there was a bunch of CGI establishing shots of castles which didn't add anything and looked bad. Cut those. They're not necessary. And then yeah, put a bit more money on the dragons. There's that fucking little goblin thing that Jeremy Irons uses to spy that is not really explained and looks like shit. Get rid of that. Put the money in the dragons.
Well, the thing to do is never shoot your whole wad. Have one dragon, maybe two dragons. Have one dragon, like have it show up slowly and in the dark, and you're just like, oh shit! Like that's one thing Game of Thrones absolutely did right is that
they teased you on the dragons for seasons.
Yeah, and mainly when dragons were used, they were, shrouded, and then okay, maybe the end was nonsense, but still, they still did a decent job with that stuff.
Yeah, by the time they had like a shitload of dragon action, you were ready for it, and it was sick.
Yeah, I think there's ways to do the things they wanted to do, and they didn't do them correctly.
1998 Godzilla came out just a few years before this. Looks way better.
I don't remember, but I don't want to go back and watch it. I think I might rather watch it than this. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure.
It's definitely it's competently made film. It's Roland Emmerich. It's decent.
It's who?
Independence Day and Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
also, like, this film could have just used more puppets and animatronics. No one was saying you have to use CGI dragons.
In 2000, they kind of subtly were, and then we realized that was a really bad idea.
Oh yeah, you know what fixed that? Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings has loads of animatronics and costumes and puppets.
Yeah.
So they also had more budget.
Yeah, but only twice the budget to do a lot more.
Yeah, I mean,
they do that right too. It's like
I don't know about anything about movies or CGI. I'm just talking out of my ass here. Yeah, but I'm.
Anyway, whatever.
There are a lot of 10s for this, by the way, as I'm looking. A lot of 10s. One of them, and this one's, they like it, but they don't love it, so it's not a real 10, but it does have the title D&D Hell's Ball. Yes. So I like that. I got the little old lady review.
Some people just see the name of the thing that they like, and it's like, this must be good.
Oh, nerds.
I don't get it. Yeah, it's like somebody's like, hey, you want to come with me and see Smashing Pumpkins? I'm like, who the fuck is in Smashing Pumpkins? Like Billy Corgan and 5 randos now or something?
Yeah. Is Smashing Pumpkins the one where he legit advertised on Craigslist once?
Yeah, I think so, for a guitarist.
One of the big bands did do that, yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right.
I mean, I kind of respect Journey just like hired a guy who was really good at singing their songs in karaoke or something, like a Filipino guy.
Nice.
And apparently he's fantastic. Like Alice in Chains got a guy who sounded just like their dead singer. Anyway,
I have 2 reviews to read. I think one is extra dumb, and the other's also kind of dumb.
Love it.
Great. Watched this when it was no one VHS film in blockbusters with my children. They loved it. Now I got on DVD and my grandchildren enjoyed it. It's a lovely fantasy family film. I still watch it now with the second generation of children. If you enjoy good family fantasy, then this is for you. That sounds like a war crime. They've made generations of children watch this now. So that's why I want to bring that up.
That sounds like someone with an addiction to cough syrup. I went to Blockbuster. I never wanted.
This next one, it should make Mercy twitch a little bit as I read it. Forget D&D, think Doctor Who. This is what I'm talking about, baby. It was awesome. Screw the D&D game anyway. It sucked. And the props in the film were not that bad. I'm talking about the legend himself, Tom Baker, making an appearance, as well as Jeremy Irons' best role next to Die Hard with a Vengeance. I am so sick and tired of you guys not knowing how to have fun with a cool, cheesy movie at the theaters. Not everything has to be Shakespeare, you know. What we have here is simply a fun action fantasy film. I loved every second of this film and would highly recommend it to Doctor Who fans. As for you Dungeons and Dragons game fans, all I can say is better luck next time, which I guess worked out.
Buddy, go to a therapist. You need to talk to somebody.
That guy went.
Goodness.
6 out of 13 found it helpful.
I wish somebody had done that for Black Christmas in one of the reviews, but they were like, "Suck it, people who loved the other Black Christmas movies."
Suck it, horror fans. Horror sucks. It's only about Black Christmas. That's kind of how this one reads.
The last thing I saw Jeremy Irons in was House of Gucci, where he did not even bother to attempt an Italian accent.
Sometimes that's the best choice.
That was a weird movie. Do you get anybody see that?
No.
It's on
the one with
Adam Driver and
that's the name. That's the guy's name I was trying to remember.
Jared
and somehow
Leto.
I couldn't remember Adam Driver or Kylo Ren, so I just completely blanked.
I was about to say, do you mean Jeremy Irons just to be a bastard?
That would have been funny. Is that the one with Jeremy Irons?
No, it's the other one.
I know the last thing I probably saw Jeremy Irons in before this was watching The Lion King.
Man,
I feel like I've seen that fairly recently.
Looks like he was in the Snyder Cut.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was Alfred in Justice League and Batman vs Superman.
Adrian Veidt in the Watchmen TV series, which I didn't get very far in because it was
unnecessary and shouldn't exist.
It was depressing. It was like maybe it shouldn't have existed. Maybe I don't know. I had mixed feelings about it, but something about it was really depressing.
Like, well, I didn't get there.
Maybe it was supposed to be.
So should we put some butter?
Alan Moore hates it,
and specifically talk about the new one for a few minutes before we cap this off.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons the new one works is because it does embrace what's fun about D&D, where like a lot of the time the characters kind of are just bumbling through, making stupid decisions. It's very much about a party, and everyone has a little arc. And it like I was saying earlier, like I don't necessarily think D&D as a license. It's not like there's a story to tell or anything. It's just a world in which to have fun and do your own thing. And that's what they did. They're like, okay, we've got Neverwinter, we've got Baldur's Gate, we've got a couple of creatures. But here's just a fun story about some characters and some silliness and some hijinks.
And coming from the other end, of course, it's IP to a certain degree. But me coming in, I don't know Dungeons and Dragons, so I feel like I'm actually watching something different and with a lot of money behind it. Because movies these days, it's like massive budget IP or quirky tiny film, right?
Right, yeah. So here's something that actually felt original and had some money.
Yeah, which it's been a little while.
Yeah. It reminded me of watching Marvel movies before they were trying to connect everything, which is nice that kind of the genericness of Dungeons and Dragons works in its favor, because then it doesn't feel like tied down by we have to mention Tony Stark. And also I was glad that they didn't do a thing where at the end it was a bunch of people who were playing and they all went home, because I was worried they were going to do that, and that would be I'm kind of over that. Like I don't want them
to do that, but I wouldn't be offended if like the way they did the sequel was like same cast, different roles.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be cool.
Because it was sort of like that thing, like the Lego movie kind of did that well, but then there wasn't really much of anywhere for it to go after that. The sequel, even though the sequel was pretty good, but it still felt just incredibly unnecessary.
I mean, some things just exist as a single film, and that's fine, you know?
Yeah.
That's fine. And also it's fine to not have to go meta with everything, and you could just let a story be a story, and then if you need to tell another story, then you tell the next story. I mean, that really that did work for Lord of the Rings, which isn't necessarily fair because all those stories were written like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And
then when they ran out of steam, they're like, let's stretch the 150-page one to 3 epic movies.
Yeah, and then coming soon, Silmarillion, 15-hour.
Oh, I thought they stole things from that to fill out The Hobbit. Okay.
I don't know.
No, they stole things from the unfinished tales and stuff for The Hobbit.
Okay.
Really?
The Silmarillion set like millennia before the rest of it.
Spoiler for episode way in the future, I've only read The Hobbit and Fellowship of the Ring. I've not read anything else related.
I've read The Hobbit, Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and I'm probably going to read Return of the King pretty soon.
Maybe I'll get that.
I have read Fellowship and The Hobbit, weirdly enough.
I love The Hobbit. I was pissed at
I watched
making 3 movies.
My dad read me The Hobbit when I was a little kid, and I really liked it. And then tried to read me Lord of the Rings, but it was too boring. And then I
Yeah.
sort of tried to go back to it every 10 years, and I'm finally old enough to read it.
Yeah. I was an avid reader, like one of those people who just sit in the library and just shove books into my brain, and
Same.
that was the bridge too far for me at the time. I was like,
My friend Jay said you have to read Lord of the Rings like a bard is telling you this story in a pub. It's not really written like a book.
yeah, that's interesting. Maybe I'll go back to it.
But I also,
not a bad
I'm
idea.
old and buff and boring enough to enjoy it now. It's the same thing that happened with
Oh.
Star Trek: The Motion Picture. I hated it as a kid, and then I just grew old enough and boring enough to enjoy it. Anyway, we're talking about everything except the film at this point, so I guess.
Well, I just
Do you have
wanted
any
to.
thoughts on the
I
new
did
Dungeons
want
and
to.
Dragons?
I loved it.
I
The new
yeah, I
Dungeons and
really
Dragons
liked
was
it.
fun.
Yeah.
I thought
It
this was a
felt
good.
like a party.
I thought it
I
was a
love
good
a
feather in
good-
the cat for Hugh Grant's current, scumbag phase. I support Hugh Grant's scumbag
Yes.
phase, and this was definitely a good one for that.
Yeah. The reason why I like the new one better, I mean, also is but
I mean,
like
everything.
everything is better, but also I could feel like if thinking that it's a Dungeons and Dragons movie, I was like, I can see the players like in my mind being like, oh my God, you have to, I don't know, you have to try subterfuge. Subterfuge? Is that how you say? Yeah, subterfuge. You gotta lie to this guy. Okay, then throw the die. And I could see the results of the die and just seeing the, how do you say, the consequences, like in the movie. And I was like, that for me is super enjoyable. I love that. So, but in the old movie, I was like, I see nothing. I don't see it.
Well, I guess like because what you're talking about is a Dungeons and Dragons thing. It's also just a good storytelling thing.
Yeah, of
Where
course.
characters like make mistakes and fail.
Yeah.
Whereas in the new one, like whenever he tried to like do some kind of stunt or some kind of whatever,
it was a natural
it went
20 all the
perfectly.
time.
Yeah, he was doing like
natural 20 all
backflips
the
and
time.
somersaults and shit.
Yeah.
And then like when things went wrong, it was just for bullshit reasons.
Yes.
So I step out of the cave and they've captured all my friends.
Yes, he was getting.
But then
nat
suddenly
20.
they can fight back.
Yes, he was
So how
getting
did they get
nat
captured?
20 plus the DM is in love with him, with the player, so he gives him everything, and then he's bullying the mage, and then he's also like, oh, you have to get a nat 20 for this girl, and it's like, okay, then sorry, it doesn't.
She can't do any spells.
Yeah, she gets so it's shit. It's bad. In that context, if I frame it like that.
I like that as a review. Just it's shit. It's bad. Full stop.
I love a movie that has no business being as good as it is. Like the Lego movie was another one of those where it's like, why is this so good? I don't know. Has anyone seen Game Night, which is those two directors' previous film, which is sitting at a 6.9?
No.
Nope.
Well, me neither. Anyway,
okay. Let's not
supposed
talk
to be
about
good.
then.
Supposed to be good. Anyway,
6.9 of good.
6.9.
Well,
nice.
we'll see it maybe one day eventually. Who knows?
That's Mark's review of Game Night.
Love
I haven't
it.
seen it. It's supposed to be good.
Yep.
69.
I'm putting that right now. I'm reviewing it on IMDb. I haven't seen it. It's supposed to be good. 5 out of 10.
That is professional film criticism there.
All right.
We wraps it up. Rapping. I guess I'll wrap it. I'll wrap today. I'll wrap it. I'm rapping.
Marcy, you got anything to plug?
Me, yes, my social media. Can you spell it for me?
She is at Mercy Escribe, MERCYESCRIBE. She gets me to spell it because she tries to do the Spanish letters when she does spelling.
Word.
That's for us. Right. We're on Patreon. Podcastia. You get it early. You get some extra chitter chatter. You get Time Enough podcast about the Twilight Zone, podcast 1999 about Space 1999, Luke Loves Pokemon about Pokemon, Hyrule Field Report about Zelda, game shows about gamers gaming each other to play the game.
Incredible.
Don't hate the game, hate the players, right?
Yeah.
Literally.
I'm really excited to hear the one we just recorded last night. That's just me and Andy bullying Mass. He tried to do his own version of the puzzler and we just were not having it.
If you're wondering why I'm laughing so hard at that, you listeners, you should listen to Game Show more.
So how do you DM out of a podcast?
You what?
Everyone's tired and sleepy. Just like, I guess we'll just leave it here. I'll see you next week or whatever.
I'm gonna hand you a D20. I'm gonna hand you a D20. I need you to roll 22.
Okay, I rolled a 22.
Okay, it's over.
That'll do.
There's no modifiers. Just roll a 22.
Yep.
He's bored and
That's
he's keeping it
role-playing.
simple.
That's role playing, isn't it? Matt just played the role of someone who could roll a 22 with a 20-sided die.
Incredible.
He
You
succeeded.
convinced me, you see. That's a really good
Skill
successful
check.
roll.
Bad at
Yep.
math.
Also,
Do not let Dimitri know about that.
Yeah.
So Matt, I'll see you on Thursday our time for
Wicker Man.
Wicker Man.
Can I get you Wednesday for the Nazi Twilight Zone?
Yeah, sure. So remind me the name of the thing.
it's gonna be a
He's
Nazi
alive.
Twilight Zone.
There's lots of Nazi ones.
Are they gonna die? Do they die?
They usually get their comeuppance, yeah. It was made in the 60s right after World War II.
Okay, good.
You'd be invited, but I have to record it this week, and we're doing this
Yeah,
now. So,
it's okay. And then I'll see you on Monday. It looks like it's just the three of us.
that works. Are you guys already in Tokyo?
Yeah, I'll be in Tokyo the Sunday night, so I'll meet you there.
So yeah, I'll just take a Shinkansen, take the local, and just meet you there. Which I was gonna be like, we should meet, and like ahead, I was going, we'll meet the other people in the park, you know?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to wait for Kathleen. But it looks like I guess they're not going. Okay, well.
Yeah, well, I think Mayu's having back troubles, and then the other two pulled out because she wasn't going.
Okay. Well, anyway, that keeps it.
But it's fine.
simpler
The
to-
three of us can have a great time.
Yeah,
Oh
we're
yeah,
gonna have a great
three
time.
people moving around. It should be real easy. I guess we should just figure out. I don't know how you do fast passes, or if we need them on that day. So,
Are you guys going to
Mm.
Disney? Is that the context here?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I'm
sorry.
taking Matt to Disney
Nice.
Sea as his like birthday and Christmas present.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you
Do
need to
it.
go to see when you're here. I mean, going to Disney feels kind of like a waste of time when you're in a different country, but Sea's pretty cool.
I've never been to any Disney park in my life.
Sea's supposed to be the best theme park in the world, which I would say
And
might be
Luke
the
and
case.
I were gonna be coordinating outfits, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Nice.
Oh, geez, I'm gonna have to do something. Okay.
Yes.
We're gonna
so-
have like the
okay,
Duffy.
so I have the Shelly Mays ears because context, Mark. There is this
Right.
exclusive. Okay, it's Mickey's friend. Okay, and here's the
Mhm.
lore. Mickey wanted a friend, so he gave him life.
Whoa, like
teddy
Eve?
bear.
He said yes. He's a teddy bear. He gave him life. So in this context, Mickey is God. And
Here's the real law. They tried to introduce this character in America. No one gave a shit. They brought it to Japan, and the Japanese are like,
ate it up.
"Fuck yeah, we can collect teddy bears who are friends with Mickey. Sell us
But they
all
are
the merch."
alive.
Yeah, I know.
He gave him life.
Man,
That's how it works.
But it's just
that's
it's
amazing.
such a perfect metaphor for Japanese consumers.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
how
like,
it is.
Here's Mickey's teddy bear, and they're like, "We'll buy it.
Yeah.
We'll buy it."
Yeah.
I,
So I have the girl,
Man.
and he's gonna get Duffy. I have Shelly May, so you can be somebody else,
Okay.
Matthew, if you
There's a
want. now.
painter, I think. I don't know.
Nice.
Maybe I'll get stuff there. But no,
Yeah.
I asked Hannah, what do you want from Disney?
Mm.
At first, she said, like, I guess there's a girl bear or one of Duffy's friends. And then the
Yep.
next day, she was like, no, don't do that. All the girls at my school get that when they go there. She's like, no, actually don't. That's the cliched, stupid thing to get. So give me some crunch chocolate. So I guess
It's
I'll get her that.
fun.
Yeah.
It
It's
is
Well,
fun.
as a slight tangent, I've recently become aware of all these weird Sanrio characters, and I love like just sitting around and reading about them. How
Hey, you can take
Oh
a
my
boat
God,
ride
which one?
and visit
Which
them
one?
all at Sanrio
There's a-
Pure
Which
Land.
one do you like?
there's an alligator named Big Challenges.
Big
It just looks
challenges?
like it. Yeah, Big Challenges. It just looks like somebody drew it really quickly, and it's but it looks like really fun. I don't know. There's a tooth. There's
Nice. Yes,
there's a bunch of them. Yeah, there's just so many.
I like the piece of salmon.
Yeah.
I like the salmon.
Yeah.
I'm also gonna bring my Kingdom Hearts Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, obviously.
Oh, God, yes,
yeah,
of course.
I'm looking at big challenges. He's
I-
such a
he's
fella.
awesome.
I've seen him. I had no
Look at
idea.
him.
Yeah,
because
it's
look
great.
At that fucking...
He's
No,
such a
next-
cute fella.
No,
Fucking
next time I
awesome.
visit Scott, we're going to Sanrio Pure Land because he lives like a 10-minute walk from it. So
Nice.
Wow.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I also want to go to the Sanrio Puro Land.
a few
Letting
years
you know
ago,
that
I was
wanna go
there.
to Sanrio Puro
Okay,
Land.
so I'm tourist.
A few years ago, I visited him and we were there, and yeah, I guess we shouldn't go there. We're like, in our 40s, and it seems weird. Now I'm like, fuck it. I will go
cares?
Sanrio Pure Land, right?
Yeah, who cares? Right?
Okay, I'm gonna hit the
Oh, yeah, man.
recording. By the way, Mark, if you have nothing to do, we are here's recording. Bye, folks. Oh no, it's
See
still
you guys.
recording. It's still recording.